Earshot. A demonic encounter leaves Buffy with the uncontrollable ability to read everyone's thoughts.
We open with Buffy running from a couple of naked demons, and she kills one, and its white blood soaks into her skin while the other manages to run away.
The next day at the library, Giles tells them that what they learned about the mayor's ascension last episode was, no surprise, not very helpful. Buffy even says,
"We don't know anything. The whole Faith Angel thing was for nothing."
And during this meeting, Buffy keeps scratching her hand where the blood was.
Wesley comes in and displays an unusually mocking tone, while Hulu's subtitles are unable to decipher Giles's esoteric vocabulary.
Touché.
I was wondering, what is his cover at the school? Giles is the librarian, but what does Wesley say every time he shows up? He can't say he's assisting Giles, because then he would have to be on the payroll, right? And he can't say, "I'm obsessed with dating a high school girl," because that would be weird, right? He makes a crack at Giles for not knowing anything, and Giles counters that with the council at his disposal, Wesley should be able to provide more information, but he cannot.
Out in the hall, Buffy reminds Willow how the previous episode ended.
Seeing him bad, even pretend bad, and what's Faith? To the naked eye, it looked like fun. Or maybe it wasn't. Maybe he wasn't even tempted. I just wish I could be sure.
And Willow reminds Buffy that there's an easy solution to everything.
As always, I advise you to ask.
Yeah, I said Buffy continues to be shallow and dumb, despite Willow giving her logical advice. The dumb jock that Willow is tutoring passes by and asks if she's coming to the game later, which she is excited about.
And I was honestly surprised to see the dumb jock again, but I was hoping he was going to do more.
I'm wondering if that's going to become another relationship thing with Willow.
That would be pretty funny. Buffy tells Giles about her gross demon-infected hand, and I naturally assumed we were going to an Evil Dead 2 situation. I wanted to see her smashing things into her face. And
yeah, that's what I was thinking. We'll have to wait until she gets back to her house.
Despite finding information saying that Buffy could contract an aspect of the demon, Giles basically tells her not to worry about it, instead of maybe going to a doctor.
Even a magic doctor. Outside, there's a pep rally, and Buffy's still concerned about turning into a demon, while Xander reveals that he's still obsessed with Cordelia and is jealous of Wesley, which is exactly the side plot I was hoping for.
Buffy tells Willow what Giles said about her hand, and Willow doesn't seem worried either. And there's some really bad editing here, with Willow's dialogue clearly not matching when they cut to the over-the-shoulder shots.
And I would be frightened too, but I'm sure you're gonna be okay.
That night when Buffy is on patrol, Angel sneaks up on her, because that's what weirdos do.
He can tell something is bothering her, and she tells him about her demon problems, and my next note is he drops some romance on her.
No matter what, I'll always be with you.
Buffy questions whether he's really trying to keep her safe or just hoping to see Faith again, the girl that tried to turn him evil and is actively participating in a plan that will result in all of them being dead. And when she tells him about her hand, Angel doesn't seem to think it's a big deal either for some reason.
The next day, Willow, Xander, and Oz are discussing the game, but don't want Buffy to feel bad for missing it.
Because that's more important than whatever's going on with her hand.
Apparently. Xander continues to obsess over Cordelia.
I wonder if she and Wesley have kissed.
And Buffy makes a comment about it, to which Xander says,
"Man, you read my mind."
She realizes that might be what she inherited from the demon, and as she walks through the hall, she hears everyone's thoughts. I thought it was pretty funny.
If we could just get rid of all the students.
I immediately thought she would use her newfound telepathy to find out how to stop the mayor, which is basically what Giles says too, but Buffy says she has a better idea.
She decides to go the humorous route, to cheat in class.
The other students' reactions are pretty funny, and a couple of them get singled out, including the girl that is mad that Buffy answers before she can, and Freddie Iverson, the societal pessimist who writes for the school paper.
And then there's a not subtle and honestly pretty bad shift from the topic of discussion to Buffy's personal life.
Buffy realizes that the Shakespeare play they are discussing relates to her own situation with Angel, because whenever you want something to sound deep, all you gotta do is reference Shakespeare. And she realizes she can use her ability to read Angel's mind and find out how he really feels about Faith and if he really loves her. She already made Angel experience true happiness for the first time since getting cursed however many years ago, plus everything I said earlier about Faith being not a good choice, in addition to Faith being just a bitch and an idiot. Plus, there's a reason Professor X tells telepaths that reading people's mind is an invasion of privacy, and that's because it is.
She goes to talk to Angel, and he says she can't read his mind because the script says so.
At first, I thought it made sense that she couldn't read his thoughts, because it must mean that he doesn't have any, which would make sense for his character.
And then he tells her to be direct. So we have pretty much every character telling Buffy to stop being an idiot.
And when she first gets to Angel's place, he's awake in the middle of the day for some reason, and she almost kills him by opening the curtain. And then she doesn't even close it all the way.
Always playing those games. Just be direct. He says being with Faith didn't mean anything, and tells Buffy to continue to be direct, because that's a good idea.
Instead of being a conniving sociopath about everything. And she even says,
Oh, but that would have made sense.
Sarah Michelle Gellar must have accidentally read a note that one of the writers left on the script, mistaking it for a line of dialogue.
Later, Buffy's discussing her new ability with the gang, which again is played for humor.
Everyone gets freaked out, and I thought Cordelia's thoughts were pretty funny.
I don't see what this has to do with me.
I don't see what this has to do with me.
Later, Giles discovers that this has happened before, but the telepathy can't be shut off, and the person it happened to before is in complete isolation and crazy.
In the cafeteria, Buffy begins to be overwhelmed by everyone's thoughts, and suddenly catches someone thinking,
This time tomorrow, I'll kill you all.
It made me think of Uncanny X-Men number 196,
Oh my god.
where Professor X is giving a lecture in a crowded hall when he picks up a similar thought of someone planning a murder but isn't sure where it came from.
Gotta shoehorn in all that X-Men stuff. We'll review the third movie, just be patient. The best one. She tries to find out who said it, but it's too much, and she passes out.
She wakes up outside surrounded by the gang, and I thought Cordelia's lines were really funny.
I told them not to move you. They probably severed your spinal cord.
She was the most well-written character in this episode.
Buffy lets the rest of them know about the threat, and directs them to find a killer before lunch the next day.
And as she walks off with Giles to go home, she hears that she will go insane if it never wears off.
At her house, Joyce is acting weird, and Buffy realizes it's because Joyce knows about her mind-reading powers, and is shocked to learn that Joyce and Giles had sex twice in band candy.
Willow compares the list of the people in the cafeteria with the FBI mass murderer database to try to find similarities, which I thought was pretty funny, and a kind of dumb way to go about things.
Did she have access to that, or did she have to hack?
She's a hacker. It doesn't matter if she has access. She's a hacker.
The gang has narrowed down their list of suspects, and each go about interrogation in their own way.
Including Willow, who interrogates Jonathan like she did back in Go Fish. I thought it was all pretty funny, but I could have done without the dumb music in the background telling me it was supposed to be funny.
Yeah. One of Oz's assignments is the pessimistic newspaper kid, who he can't find because he's hiding under his desk.
My note says, for some reason.
Well, it draws conclusions of suspicion.
Why would he think that they were looking for a murderer? Someone who was planning something.
Yeah.
It does make sense in the way it gets explained, but in the moment it didn't make sense. That night, Buffy has trouble sleeping because of all the intrusive thoughts, and I'm surprised she didn't hear anyone thinking about how much pain they were in from being killed by vampires or other monsters.
And I'm surprised nobody brought up the blatant product placement of her in those gateway pajamas. But it made me want to go out and get a new PC.
Giles and Wesley are working on something to help Buffy, but Giles is skeptical that it will work because they need the heart from the other naked demon. Cut to Angel fighting the other naked demon, but he is wearing clothes.
Yes, I wanted to clarify that.
And I wondered why there are never any bystanders or gawkers when all these monster fights are happening.
The gang says the only one they couldn't find to interrogate was the pessimistic newspaper kid, which makes them all very suspicious, because no one else fit the profile with their answers.
At the house, Joyce and Giles are feeling bad about Buffy when Angel shows up with the demon's heart apparently liquefied in a flask.
I said the anti-mind potion.
He makes Buffy drink it, and apparently the others were not considerate enough to close the blinds here either. And I imagined how Angel must have looked running down the sidewalk, smoking under a freaking blanket.
I thought that was pretty funny.
I thought it was dumb, but okay. Couldn't he have had somebody else deliver it to the house? Couldn't Wesley have gone to Angel's place? And I don't know.
And while the potion appears to have bad side effects, it is false drama, as she's fine about 10-15 seconds later.
At school, Jonathan begins assembling a rifle in the clock tower,
indicating that he's the one they should have been watching out for, but instead, they're confronting Newspaper Kid.
But it turns out he was avoiding them because he wrote a bad review of Oz's band.
You mean an accurate review of Oz's band?
Dingoes ate my baby, played their instruments as if they had plump Polish sausages taped to their fingers.
Sorry, man.
No, it's fair.
Buffy shows up suddenly, seemingly completely fine, and says they'll have Snyder evacuate the school.
While they're busy lamenting that they don't know who they should be looking out for, Cordelia finds a letter from Jonathan implying that he is the killer.
And instead of going to Snyder and having him evacuate the school, they split up to find Jonathan, who is taking forever to assemble the gun, which is not a surprise because he doesn't look like he knows what he's doing.
Buffy sees him assembling the rifle up in the clock tower.
In full view of everyone.
Yeah, and she does some goofy acrobatics to get up there, also right in front of everybody.
Along with some Taken-style editing.
She has a very particular set of skills.
Buffy tells Jonathan to put the gun down, but he says they all think he's an idiot. Which is true. She tries to relate to him by telling him how bad her own life is, because she always has to turn everything into something about herself.
And she says nobody pays attention to his pain because they're too busy dealing with their own pain.
Very deep. She probably got that from Shakespeare.
I was thinking Oz.
He finally gives her the gun and reveals that he was actually there to kill himself, not shoot others. Meanwhile, Xander, instead of looking for Jonathan, has gotten distracted by stealing what he says is Jell-O, but I'm sure it had to be some kind of off-brand stuff.
And he witnesses the lunch lady pouring a bunch of rat poison in the students' food.
Which automatically made her my favorite character in this episode. She grabs a knife and goes after him while he tries to stop everyone from eating.
And when he trips and falls and is about to be cleaved, Buffy intervenes.
And even though the lunch lady appears to give up, Buffy still beats her up, and it's revealed that she is actually a demon with the ability to shapeshift into a stunt double.
With a completely different body type. Later, Buffy and Willow are discussing the events.
And Buffy brings up Angel, to which Willow yet again reiterates that communication is an essential part of any healthy relationship. So I'm sure Buffy and Angel will never have any relationship troubles again. Giles comes by and they talk about Jonathan, and I was surprised that Buffy seems to be checking in on him. She does still mock his height, though, showing that any suggestion of genuine character growth was but an illusion.
Giles asks if she's ready for training. Buffy says that would be cool if Giles isn't too busy banging Joyce.
Which was a good ending.
Yeah.
Earshot. Overall,
Jonathan's ending was unexpected and an injection of real-world issues that really came out of nowhere. It felt like a writer's struggle.
Well, if I was a writer on this show, I would also struggle with not killing myself.
And after being so heavy, having the real threat to the students being a crazy lunch lady felt like they really didn't know how to end the episode well, so just went for a stupid joke. And I wonder if Jonathan will become a reoccurring character, because he's popped up, I think since the beginning, all over the place as comic relief, but to have him actually become a character was unexpected. They could have done more with Buffy's mind reading than what we got. It got shelved into only comedic moments, aside from her hearing the death threat, and then they used that glowing blue plot juice to just get rid of it. Missed opportunity. For Faith being so treacherous now, and the mayor's plan being out in the open, and his ascension supposedly being the end of all things, it was really odd that neither of them showed up and were only mentioned as a small reminder. I am glad that Buffy for once followed everyone's advice and was direct with Angel, but I have little confidence that she won't continue to doubt and create artificial drama all over the place. Willow is on the fast track to becoming my new favorite character. Her writing and interactions with others is less one-dimensional than everyone else and less stupid. So good job. I gave this one a C. This whole episode felt like a missed opportunity, which is too bad because some of the recent episodes have been pretty good. Oh, and Xander's shirt was really stupid and I did not like it.
I gave it a B. I thought this episode did a good job of balancing the humor and the more serious aspects, which went pretty far in both directions. I thought it handled everything pretty well, except for the typical things of the Angel relationship struggle stuff, which of course didn't make sense, which it never does, and which they even pointed out the problems with, which doesn't make it any more tolerable.
Yeah, Buffy is the only one who doesn't seem to get it, and unfortunately she's the main character.
And I thought it was weird that no one seemed at all worried about Buffy until things actually started happening with the telepathy. I wanted to see what Buffy would do with her ability to try to stop the mayor, but I thought they did a good job of having other things get in the way, because the whole murder plot popped up while she was at school that same day. I thought the red herrings were handled surprisingly well. I liked that you thought it was the newspaper kid, then you thought it was Jonathan, then it turned out to be the lunch lady.
Yeah, I thought that was dumb.
With the Buffy Angel stuff out of the way for now, and coming off of what I thought was a solid episode here, I really hope the show keeps the momentum going.
Guess we disagree on this one.
Yeah, one of us is right and one of us is you.
Ha ha ha.